Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive? You guys have sent us some super interesting stuff about NVIDIA.
Yeah, it looks like we've got financial reports, some tech news articles.
Oh, and even some buzz from social media.
Definitely a lot to unpack.
So today, we're going to figure out where NVIDIA stands right now.
And maybe even more importantly, where they're headed.
Right. What's it all going to mean for AI? What does the future hold?
Okay? Maybe even what it means for you.
Exactly. Okay, let's jump right in. Those financial reports you guys sent, NVIDIA's not just growing.
Yeah, they're like, exploding.
122% year-over-year revenue increase. That's unbelievable. What's driving those crazy numbers?
Well, it's all about the GPUs.
Oh, right, the GPUs.
The demand is just through the roof. They've become like totally essential for AI. I mean,
Yeah.
anything you can think of.
Okay.
Self-driving cars, medical imaging, you name it. It's probably running on NVIDIA's tech.
So they're kind of like the picks and shovels of this whole AI gold rush.
Exactly. They're supplying everyone with the tools they need to strike it rich.
I like that analogy. Okay, so NVIDIA is providing the tools. But here's something that really caught my eye. Analysts are predicting their stock could hit like 170, even $180 a share.
Wow.
Is that just hype? Or is NVIDIA really going to dominate the whole AI landscape?
Well, there's definitely a lot of excitement out there, but it's not all just hype.
Right.
NVIDIA's in a really strong position. They're not just riding the AI wave, they're shaping it.
Okay, that's interesting. So speaking of shaping the future, let's talk about this new Blackwell architecture.
Oh, yeah, Blackwell.
We saw that it's already sold out through October 2025.
Seriously, everyone's trying to get their hands on it.
There's a lot of buzz around this. What's got everyone so fired up about Blackwell?
It's a huge leap forward, not just a little upgrade. Like, this thing is designed to really boost processing power and efficiency.
Oh, wow.
I mean, imagine AI that can analyze tons of data in like a split second.
Yeah.
Or simulations so real they blow your mind.
Okay, yeah.
That's what Blackwell makes possible.
That's pretty incredible. And one analyst even predicted it could bring in, what, like $5–6 billion in a single quarter?
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
Just for NVIDIA.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But what makes it such a game changer? Especially for someone like you who's really following all the latest AI developments.
Well, think about the applications that you're most interested in, like personalized medical treatments.
Right.
Blackwell could make those treatments a reality so much faster. It's basically the engine for this next generation of AI.
Wow.
Like those large language models that can, almost sound human, or autonomous systems that can navigate super complex environments.
So it sounds like NVIDIA really has the hardware. But who's actually buying all this stuff? We saw this social media post from Kaushik, this investor.
Yeah, Kaushik, I follow him too.
He mentioned that Amazon, Google, Meta, and Microsoft.
The big guys, the hyperscalers.
Yeah, they're planning to spend something like $300 billion in 2025. And a lot of that's going towards AI infrastructure.
Yeah, they're NVIDIA's biggest clients. They need massive amounts of computing power, to train all their AI model, build out their data centers. NVIDIA's GPUs, they're the perfect solution. It's like they depend on each other.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's this whole ecosystem, right?
Totally.
NVIDIA right at the center of it all. But you also flagged some news about Supermicro, one of NVIDIA's big customers.
Oh.
They're facing some financial issues, maybe even delisting.
Yeah, it's not good.
There's some concern on social media, even comparisons to some past, corporate scandals.
Yikes.
What's your take on the whole Supermicro situation?
Well, it's definitely something to watch. But the good news is NVIDIA is already ahead of it.
Oh, okay.
They're rerouting orders to other suppliers like Gigabyte and ASRock.
So they're not putting all their eggs in one basket.
Exactly. They're trying to keep things stable, even if there are some bumps in the road.
Okay, that makes sense. But this Supermicro situation also shows us how interconnected this whole supply chain really is. Oh, yeah, for sure. Like other companies, LedTech, Abelcom, CompuWare, they're all feeling the impact too. How vulnerable is NVIDIA to these kinds of, dependencies?
That's a great question. NVIDIA's been really good at diversifying their supply chain. But you're right, they're still part of this complex global network. Anything can happen, right? Financial problems, political stuff.
Right.
It can all have ripple effects. It's definitely a balancing act.
Definitely. Okay, so we've talked about NVIDIA's role here, but let's zoom out a little. Take a global perspective.
Okay, yeah, good idea.
You included some reports about the Asia-Pacific region. Lots of growth there, huge investments in AI. What's the story there?
The Asia-Pacific region is like super hungry for innovation.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Countries like Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, they're putting tons of resources into AI, and they see NVIDIA's tech as essential to, achieving their ambitions.
That makes sense. And we can't forget about those big players in Asia,
Mm.
Alibaba, Tencent,
Baidu, Samsung.
SoftBank. They're all using NVIDIA already. Plus, we saw that projection Asian companies are going to almost triple their spending on AI by 2024.
Yeah, like $3.4 billion. It's a huge market, and NVIDIA is right in the middle of it.
Wow, that's a big opportunity for them.
Absolutely. They've been building partnerships, making sure their products fit what those markets need. It's a smart move.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, now for a little twist.
Yeah.
Remember that article from the New York Post?
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Seems like Elon Musk's AI startup,
Yeah.
XAI, is talking with NVIDIA about, get this, a potential investment.
No way.
They're trying to raise billions, maybe even hit a $75 billion valuation. What do you think about that?
Whoa, that's big news. This could be huge for both of them.
Yeah, Musk and NVIDIA, that's a power team.
For sure.
Okay, but let's not get too caught up in the hype just yet.
Right.
You also highlighted this concept of explainable AI.
XAI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are really starting to demand transparency in AI. How do these systems actually make decisions?
It's so important, especially as AI plays a bigger and bigger role in our lives.
Right, and NVIDIA's involved in this too, right?
Absolutely. They have this initiative called Colossus.
Colossus. What's that all about?
Well, it's their attempt to revolutionize data centers by adding these XAI capabilities. It's about building AI that can not only make decisions, but also explain how it got there in a way that humans can understand,
Right.
I mean, think about how crucial that could be in healthcare or finance.
Yeah, that makes sense. Those are really sensitive areas.
You need to be able to trust the system, understand why it's doing what it's doing.
So it's not just about the power of AI, it's about, the ethics of AI too.
Exactly. Building AI systems that are aligned with our values, that we can trust to make those big decisions.
Okay, so let's recap. NVIDIA's riding high. Their GPUs are in demand, especially from those hyperscalers.
Mm-hmm.
And Blackwell, well, that's pushing the boundaries of what AI can do. They're making smart moves in Asia, maybe even teaming up with Elon Musk.
Sounds like they're thinking ahead.
And they're not just focused on power, they're thinking about ethics too.
It's impressive, the ecosystem they've built.
But, I gotta ask, with all this momentum, are there any challenges ahead for NVIDIA? That's what we're going to dig into next time.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the competition, see who else is out there trying to get a piece of the AI pie. Welcome back. So we're talking about some of the potential challenges ahead for NVIDIA.
Yeah, because it seems like they're on top of the world right now. But who else is trying to, climb that AI mountain? Who are their biggest rivals?
Well, you got to remember, things change fast in tech. Competition can pop up out of nowhere.
Right.
One thing that's really interesting is the rise of these specialized AI chips.
Specialized chips.
Yeah, like Google, Amazon, even Tesla, they're all designing their own chips. But they're tailored for very specific tasks.
So instead of using NVIDIA's, general-purpose GPUs, they're building their own custom tools.
Exactly. Like perfectly designed for their own projects.
Interesting. But why would they go through all that trouble? I mean, NVIDIA's GPUs are super powerful.
True. But there are a few reasons. Remember those articles about data privacy concerns with the big tech companies?
Oh, yeah.
By developing their own chips, they get more control.
Over their data?
Yeah. And their tech. They can fine-tune everything for their own needs. No need to rely on a third party.
Okay, so more control.
What else?
Cost. NVIDIA's GPUs, they're top-notch, but they're expensive.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Building their own chips could save them a ton of money in the long run.
So more control, lower costs. But can these specialized chips really compete with NVIDIA when it comes to, pure performance?
It depends. Some of these chips are showing really promising results.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in those niche areas, like Google's TPUs.
The TPUs, right.
They're super effective for certain types of machine learning, but NVIDIA still has that advantage in versatility. Their GPUs can handle a much wider range of tasks really well. Okay, so it's a trade-off. Specialization versus flexibility.
Exactly.
But let's talk about another competitor, Intel. They're a giant in the chip world, and they're definitely making a push into AI. What's their strategy?
Intel's going all in on AI. They're investing a lot in their own GPUs, trying to catch up to NVIDIA.
Okay.
They're also working on software, platforms that make it easier to work with their hardware. And let's not forget their manufacturing power and those strong partnerships they've built over the years.
Right. Right. Intel's got a lot going for them. So it's like David versus Goliath. But in this case, David is also a tech giant with a ton of resources.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting battle to watch.
But even if Intel catches up in hardware, NVIDIA has that whole software ecosystem, right?
That's a great point. NVIDIA has spent years building this super robust software ecosystem. All their tools and libraries are optimized for their GPUs. It's a big draw for developers.
Okay, yeah.
And it creates a big barrier for competitors. It's not just about the chip itself, it's the whole package.
So NVIDIA's got that whole fortress built around their tech.
Pretty much.
Okay, but there's another thing we got to talk about. The rise of open source hardware and software. Could that disrupt things for NVIDIA?
The open source movement has been huge in software.
Right.
And it's starting to gain traction in hardware, too. Have you heard of RISC-V?
RSCV, yeah.
It's this open source instruction set architecture getting a lot of attention.
Okay.
Could lead to some powerful open source AI chips. Anyone could use and modify them.
So it's like democratizing access to this technology.
Exactly. Could be amazing for innovation.
But could it be bad for NVIDIA? I mean, their whole business is built on proprietary tech.
It's definitely something to watch. If open source really takes off, it could challenge NVIDIA. But to their credit, they're engaging with the open source community.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Contributing to projects, adopting open standards. They're trying to find that balance, protecting their stuff while also being part of this movement.
Smart. Okay, so open source is one thing. But you also brought up this other potential disruptor, quantum computing.
Quantum computing. Still early days. But the impact on AI could be massive.
Yeah, I've heard it could, revolutionize everything.
For real. It could solve problems that are impossible for our current computers. NVIDIA's watching it closely, investing in research, forming partnerships.
So they're keeping their options open.
Exactly. Not putting all their eggs in the quantum basket, but definitely not ignoring it either.
That makes sense. But even if quantum computing is still a ways off, the AI landscape is changing all the time. What other trends could impact NVIDIA?
One big one is edge computing.
Edge computing.
Yeah, think about all those devices that collect data. Smartphones, wearables, sensors.
Like the Internet of Things.
Edge computing is about bringing the processing power closer to where the data is, enabling real-time applications.
So instead of everything going to those massive data centers, more AI is happening right on the devices themselves.
Exactly. Makes sense with all that data from the Internet of Things.
Okay, so how does this impact NVIDIA?
Well, they've been developing this platform called Jetson.
Chits.
It's designed specifically for AI at the edge.
So they're trying to be a leader in this new market, too.
For sure. It's got huge potential.
Wow, NVIDIA's got their fingers in a lot of pies. But even with all their innovation, there are things outside their control that could affect them, right?
Oh, absolutely. Global events can impact even a tech giant like NVIDIA. One big concern is the trade tension between the US and China.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
A lot of NVIDIA's manufacturing and sales are in China. If things escalate, it could disrupt their supply chain and their access to that market.
It's a reminder that politics and economics, they still matter, even in the tech world. What else should we be worried about?
The environmental impact of technology.
Oh, right.
Data centers use a ton of energy, especially for AI training. NVIDIA is working on energy efficiency, but they need to keep innovating to stay ahead of regulations.
So it's not just about power anymore. It's about sustainability.
Exactly. And of course, there's the global economy. AI is hot now, but a recession could really slow things down.
So even the AI king isn't immune to economic forces?
Nope, nobody is.
Okay, so we've got competition heating up, open source popping up, quantum computing on the horizon, and the global economy doing its thing. It's a lot for NVIDIA to handle.
It's a wild ride, for sure.
So the big question is, will it be enough to keep them at the top?
Well, that's what we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive. We'll break down NVIDIA's strengths and weaknesses, see if they're really built for the long haul.
Okay, so we've looked at NVIDIA's financials, the competition, even quantum computing.
We've covered a lot of ground.
But here's the big question. Is NVIDIA really built to last? In this crazy, constantly changing AI world?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question. I think to figure that out, we got to weigh their strengths against their weaknesses.
Okay, yeah. See how well they're adapting to everything that's going on. So let's start with the positives. What are NVIDIA's biggest strengths? What makes them stand out?
Well, they dominate the GPU market, right?
Yeah, they're the kings.
I mean, their performance is top-notch, and their chips are the go-to for pretty much all AI development. Plus, remember that huge developer community they've built?
Yeah, super loyal.
That's a huge asset in the tech world.
Okay, so it's like they've created this AI empire. Powerful hardware, a whole network of supporters. But even empires can fall, right?
Oh, absolutely.
What are some of NVIDIA's weaknesses? Things that could actually threaten their position?
One risk is that they're really reliant on GPUs.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, they're branching out like data centers, automotive AI,
Right.
but most of their revenue still comes from GPUs. So if demand slows down or a competitor really shakes things up,
that could be a problem for NVIDIA?
yeah, their strength could become a weakness.
Interesting. So what else should they be worried about? Long-term risks.
Well, developing these next-gen chips, it's getting super expensive.
Yeah, billions of dollars.
And the competition's not slowing down. They have to stay ahead, but also manage costs. It's tricky.
It's like a high wire act.
Ah,
Speaking of risky moves, remember those articles about the Omniverse, NVIDIA's metaverse platform?
oh yeah, the Omniverse. That's a big bet.
They're basically betting that the metaverse will be the next big thing,
Yeah,
and they're building the tools to make it happen.
it's a long-term play, for sure. Could pay off big time,
Or it can flop. Okay, so big risks, big potential rewards. But we can't forget about ethics, right? AI is getting more powerful. We saw those articles about facial recognition, autonomous weapons. What's NVIDIA doing about those kinds of issues?
They're definitely more aware of the ethical side of things these days. They've even published some AI ethics principles.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they're working with researchers, policymakers, trying to make sure AI is developed responsibly.
Okay, good. It's good that they're thinking about that. But back to business. What's their strategy for, staying ahead of the game?
Well, it seems like they have a few main things. Expand into those new markets like healthcare, automotive.
Right.
Keep that software ecosystem strong. Keep developers happy.
Yeah.
And invest in research and development. Got to stay on the cutting edge.
Sounds like a solid plan. But tech moves so fast, it's hard to keep up.
That's the truth. New players, new tech popping up all the time. NVIDIA has to adapt.
Keep flexible.
Anticipate what's next.
So after this deep dive, what's your overall assessment? Think NVIDIA will make it?
I think they're in a good spot. Strong foundation, clear vision, not afraid to take risks, but there are no guarantees.
Yeah, the tech world's unpredictable.
Exactly. Ultimately, it comes down to whether they can keep innovating and, maintain that trust from developers, investors, everyone.
Okay, well, there you have it. We've explored NVIDIA's rise, analyzed their strengths and weaknesses, and looked at the future of AI. Pretty fascinating stuff.
It's an exciting world out there.
For sure. But remember, AI is always evolving, so keep sending us those sources. We'll be back to dive into more soon. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, and thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.